Kate here. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have an interview with Hillary, who has an amazing program called You Got the Power System. And we're going to talk a little bit about her program and how to break it down into a framework that works. And it gives you a little bit of a clue sometimes. You can hear in her voice that sometimes you have a sense that what you're trying to do might be too much or too little for the program that you've got in mind. So here we go. All right, we have Hillary here. Hillary, tell us a little bit about you and your program.
Well, hello, everyone, and hi, Kate. Thank you for having me in this session. I appreciate it. Okay, so my program initially is called You Got the Power System. And in this system, I talk about how you can help your body help you have better health so you'll have a more vibrant life. And we go through basically 7 steps of learning how to use your words. You have power with your words and your thoughts. You have power with your ability to love and forgive. You have power as far as how you deal with stress. And then I get into talking about nutrition and the lymphatic system. And with the lymphatic system, we go through different things so that you'll know how it works and what are some of the benefits when it's active and working properly, and what are some of the downfalls, what are some of the things that can make it not work so good. And then I go into talking about the 2 ways. Bouncing on a mini trampoline is the number 1 way that I promote for activating your lymphatic system, and deep breathing exercises and breathing properly is the second thing that I promote the most. And then we get into some things like drinking water, getting enough sleep, drinking quality water, and getting quality sleep. And we ended up with listening to your body, learning how to listen to your body.
That it sounds like a really big and complete system when you're talking about how to manage your thoughts and your relationships and then your body too, like what you're eating and how you're taking care of yourself. I
Yeah.
love it. It's so complete. It feels like it's much bigger than just a health program.
Yes. The first step that I talked about is the mindset. I
Mhm.
believe that there's like a pie cut in thirds. 2/3 of it is mindset. Once we can get a handle on that, come into alignment with what we really want and desire by the way we speak and think and all of those other things, it's easier to get those goals completed, to get those desires into your realm and experience them the way you intended, the way you really want it to happen, to have victory in your life.
Yeah. What do you mean by getting the desires? Are you talking about the desires that people have to accomplish their dreams and their goals, or?
Yeah, it's not just with health. I believe mindset is so key to any goals and desires that we have. My focus is dealing with the health, but it may be business wise, it may be financial, it may be trying to get a job and stuff. All of those first things, your words and your thoughts, they play a big part, bigger than people realize. It could be that you're sick from the things that you're saying all the time, holding unforgiveness in your heart. I've seen so many people experience better health, the symptoms just like disappearing when they made a decision as an act of their will to forgive.
Yeah, I've certainly felt a lot of power of forgiving others too in my life. So I can attest that that has made a big difference.
Yeah.
So, what holds people back from being able to achieve a lot of the necessary mindset? What are the barriers?
I think biggest barrier is they don't know that the things that they're saying and thinking is really working contrary to what they really want.
Hmm.
It's so easy to talk about what's not working. It's so easy to focus on everything that's going wrong. But that's not helping. So just learning that you got the power and tell people you have a responsibility to help your body, your mind, your spirit. You have that responsibility. When you do your part, the body knows what to do. So when you're thinking more positive, it's going to bring those things into your realm that you do want, not the stuff that you don't want that you keep talking about,
Yeah.
that you keep stressing on. I've talked to some people, and you would think this bad thing that they're talking about that happened to them, Well, oh my God, that's really something. So tell me, when did this happen? Oh, it happened about 20 years ago. Okay. At some point, you gotta let that go for your health's sake. And these same people are dealing with high blood pressure and just a host of, one thing affecting another thing and taking all kind of medications. And that stress works in the body to promote inflammation. Inflammation is at the base of almost every condition that is. What's in the body to help your body as far as inflammation is concerned is the lymphatic system.
Mhm.
When it's working properly, it knows what to do. That buildup, that cellular waste that gets trapped. When it gets trapped, they call it glaucoma, they call it arthritis, they call it a whole host of autoimmune conditions. They call it a lot of things. But if you can get to the source, that trapped cellular waste, and
Mhm.
get it dispersed, you're going to experience more energy, more clarity of mind, better overall health, better sleep, boosted immunity because your lymphatic system is a major part of your immune system, and vitality. That's the part I love the most, feeling young at heart.
Yeah. It sounds like our mindset needs its own lymphatic system to move out the mindset waste that gets trapped in our heads.
True. I had one lady, she told me, she was a therapist, and she said, I can't explain it, but I have more peace. And it seems like I have more patience with my clients. Because
Mhm.
she was dealing like those in alcoholism and homeless people and stuff. She said, it's happened since I've been working with you. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, oh, wow, that was good to hear because it will help your body, mind, and spirit. Depends on what your body needs. It knows.
Obviously, this is an important topic. It sounds very holistic, and you're talking about like living free of mindset trash and body trash.
Yeah.
So, why is this so important to you?
It's important to me because most people don't know. They have no clue. When they hear the lymphatic system, they think lymph nodes. When I heard lymphatic system, that's the most that I could come up with is lymph nodes and not really understanding what lymph nodes were, but that was all I had ever heard. So all of the great things that it does and is connected to all the other systems in the body, you're experiencing your lymphatic system is not working properly. You got digestive issues, you got nervous issues, you got just all other kind of stuff going on because it's not working properly. And like you said, that trash, that build up, just like the trash build up in our house, if we don't take it out, we got a problem.
Mhm.
At some point, it's got to be removed.
Trash builds up, it attracts all sorts of disease and pests.
Exactly.
So it sounds like it's important to you because it unlocks the secret that gives people some real help in very practical ways that they may not even know about.
Yes, I tell people that it's easy, natural, and drug free. Everything that I promote, easy, natural, and drug free. That's what I was looking for. I was dealing with a chronic cough that really led me into trying to find help for myself that was natural. My doctor wanted to just put me on an inhaler and said that that's just going to be it for the rest of your life. And I just put something in me just would not agree to that. And so
Mhm.
I set out on a journey trying to find out what are some natural things I can do. And I ran into a host of things that I tried that worked. And then I bumped into this whole lymphatic system and just really felt like this is it. This is what goes along with all the leadership things, that skills that I know and have learned over the years and experience, with working with all different kinds of people. And then on the spiritual side, being a pastor, this health part completes the scripture that I have been given for my business. And that, beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper in every area of your life, that you have good health and prosper even as your soul prospers.
Mhm.
And I felt like there was something missing as far as the health thing was concerned. And once I got this and I became certified, I just couldn't get enough. I'm still like that today. It's always more to learn. I got excited and said, this is that missing piece. This makes sense of what I can give to people. Help your body help you. We have a responsibility to
Mm.
our bodies to do our part. The body knows what to do.
I can't help but see that there's like a correlation of layers where your mind is removing the trash and your body's removing the trash. And from a spiritual aspect, you're removing the sin, that gets in the way. So there's always, this unveiling of God's perfect design,
Yeah.
who you were created to be, what you were created to believe and think, what you were created to meditate on. You think about like Philippians 4:8, getting
I
that
love
your
that.
mind around that particular, what
I
sort of
love
things
that.
are true and honest and of good report and virtuous and praise and all that type of stuff. So you're
If there be any good thing. I
exactly.
love
So you're getting all of those layers in there. You have a system with phases in it in which you can say, okay, we're going to clear out your mind trash. We're going to clear out your body trash. And here's how we're going to do that. That's pretty cool. Now, you do say easy, natural, and drug free. It is natural and it is drug free, but I don't know how easy mindset is.
Well, when you get some strategies, when
Mm.
you become aware, for a long time, I wasn't aware. I didn't have that self awareness
Mhm.
of the things I was doing and saying often that was a problem, that
Mhm.
was not in alignment with what I really wanted to have in my life. It was a
Yeah.
complete opposite. And I was saying and thinking these things all the time. And I
Yeah.
tell people, sometimes you'll get so used to it, it seems like it's just natural, it's just how you are, but it's not the best for
Yeah.
you. It's not the best for any of us when we had that, they call that stinking thinking.
Well, I totally agree with all that you're saying. I know that for myself, removing a lot of that mindset trash, these ways of thinking that were so natural for me, my first response with some of that was a little anger. Like, how come I didn't know? Why am I 50 years old before I know this?
Yeah.
So it really wasn't easy. It was hard for me to, number one, be aware that I was even doing it. And then, this anger and all these feelings that come up with, why did I believe all this trash about myself? So that's why I say, I don't know about easy.
The easy part is just being aware that it
Yeah,
exists. Because when you keep bumping around in life, you're not even aware. That makes life hard.
it, it is. It does make life hard.
Mm,
I think the thought that I was always thinking about myself is what's wrong with me? And that is just not a good thought. And I see
not.
it everywhere now, not just in me. I know that's a common thing.
Mhm. Yeah, so I want to help people to just know that there are things that they can do. I tell them all the time, I absolutely believe you got the power to help your body, help you have better health and a more vibrant life.
Mhm.
And I do absolutely believe that.
So tell us a little bit about the people who join your program. Who is your typical client or student?
The typical client is women over 40 who
Mhm.
are women leaders, and they may be leading at home, leading on the job, leading in their business, leading at church, leading in the community services, find themselves leading almost everywhere they go. They may be one or two of those things, or they may check all the boxes. And they give and give and give and give. Was talking to somebody, and this just was perfect for why I do this. She said, my emotional stresses is causing me to have physical problems in my body. That's what I want people to know, those women, especially because I was that busy woman leader, at work, trying to start a business while working and being a pastor and just other things you find yourself doing. I always end up not trying to be the leader everywhere, but look like that's what keeps falling in my lap. The Lord told me one day, He said, save some for yourself.
Mhm.
And I knew exactly what He was talking about. But I was given so much to that job,
Mhm.
so much to that job that I didn't have, there was none left for me. I go home and I just flag out and ready to hit the next day. And that's not what God intended for us to have a more vibrant life.
No, it's not. You're right. The thing that helped me is the vision that, Jesus talked about, I am the vine and you are the branches, and recognizing that we're not giving to other people out of our own resources, that when we're connected with God, it's flowing through us. And if we're trying to pour out of our cup, that's really the wrong thing because we're feeding people and providing people out of the overflow.
Yeah,
So it's not, I'm not giving you mine. I'm just staying here under God and you're just going to get what splashes. What?
exactly.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And it is really important to have that type of thing. But sometimes that can shift belief systems because people are used to giving out of their own resources. And it's uncomfortable to spend that time on yourself. It feels selfish.
Yeah, some of the women, when they need the same thing that they're giving out to everybody else, and now they need it, it's
Mhm.
not coming back to them. And
That's,
then they begin to hold grudges, and the situation now is getting even worse. And
yeah.
sometimes I challenge people to be positive, for 5 days. And that seems like a lifetime for some people. But, but just being mindful of the words coming out of your mouth.
Yeah. One of the ladies I love listening to, she talked about she went on a diet. Her diet was for 1 week, no complaints. It was a no
Yeah,
complaint
that
diet.
too.
That sounds like a really good activity. And it does make you aware. Just like when you're eating on a diet, you're aware of what you're eating. I
Yeah,
think go on a no complaint diet can make you very aware of the words that are coming out of your mouth.
yeah. And I tell people, sometimes you are so busy down in yourself and then talking about somebody else and all the great things they're doing and everything happens for them. And no matter what they do, it turns to gold and blah, blah, blah. I say, you blessing them and cursing yourself. You don't realize you're doing that, but that's what you're doing. Stop
Mhm.
it. Stop. But when you're not aware that you're doing it, it just becomes everybody knows when they talk to you, you're going to talk about the same thing. They're going to hear the same stories, and you don't want to be like that. There comes a time the ones that come to me, they don't want to be like that anymore. What can I do?
Yeah. So, did you write the letters? Can we hear those letters? This first letter is a letter that is from someone who wants to be in your program. So, I'm curious to hear what their current state is like and what they desire to be the end goal.
Dear Coach Hillary, I heard you speak at our company event. You mentioned your You Got the Power System coaching program. Since then, I can't stop thinking that maybe I need to sign up for your program. I'm dealing with stress in every area of my life. It is my desire to be there for my family. That is my husband, my teenage son, my grown daughter, and her 2 children. My job as a director of human resources and my responsibilities have become overwhelming. Although I give it my all, it never seems to be enough. I have been thinking about starting a business in order to leave my demanding job. I'm also a Sunday school teacher and oversee a prayer group of 18 to 24-year-old young adults. I have gone to the doctor only to be told that there is nothing wrong with me. Maybe it's just in my head. I lay awake at night, unable to sleep. Then I wake up tired and have to push through my days. I toss and turn all night. I find myself being short tempered at home and at work. My family and those on my job don't care. They just want me to be a superwoman. Sometimes I find myself crying because I desperately need things to change. I am not superwoman and I am tired of being tired physically and emotionally all the time. Can your coaching program help me? I feel powerless.
Wow. I want to say it's a very powerful letter. It is. And it paints a really, really sad picture, I think, that so many women can relate to. She's clearly a talented woman.
Yeah, they generally are.
Yeah.
Because when you're a superwoman, you can do all these things, and for a time you enjoy it. But there comes a time when you say, I want somebody to notice what I'm doing, to care about me. They just want me to care about them. But that's the way you train them.
Yes.
Now you got to go through a whole part of this system of retraining people how to
Yeah.
treat you and retraining yourself how to treat yourself. And so, yeah, I've been there, done that, and a lot of people that come to me are in that place.
Yeah. You can hear that she's tired. You can hear that she's feels maybe trapped by all of these responsibilities and obligations, like all these things that are going on. She can't stop for a moment or it's all going to come crashing down. And you can feel she's exhausted.
Yeah,
So that comes through pretty well. And then even just at the end where she's asking, can you help me? Because she doesn't really have hope after hearing from the doctors that the doctors can't help her. So I feel like what she's really asking for is hope.
yes,
So go ahead and read the next letter because this should be a lot better, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this is the letter that she writes after she successfully completed your program and she's starting to see changes in her life.
Dear Coach Hillary, I just had to let you know how working with you has changed my life. First of all, I'm so thankful for getting my mini trampoline. It is a godsend. The migraine headaches have stopped and I have more energy. I love how it helps me feel better and healthier. The steps in your program helped me to understand the power that I do have already. They were simple, yet not always easy, especially at first. The accountability sessions helped me to stay on course and encourage me. Understanding that it is my responsibility to do what I can do to help my body help me was a major key. Before, I was just blaming others for my life not being what I needed. Now that I have gone through your coaching program, I have tools to help me to maintain a life of peace in my body and my mind. Those around me can tell the difference too. I am kinder, patient, and compassionate. It feels good not to be stressed all the time. One thing is clear, I have been putting aside time just for me to practice self care without feeling guilty. I actually take time for my lunch breaks and not work through them. My husband and I have planned to take a family vacation. We are really looking forward to getting away. My husband is glad that I am actually getting sleep at night. My attitude is so much better. Even my grandchildren notice they have a happier grandma. There is more quality family time since I'm not short tempered and tired anymore. I just want to thank you for helping me to get my life back. Now I can say I got the power. I now have strategies I can use throughout my life.
Wow, that is really good. I feel the difference in that one. And I do like the fact that in that letter, she goes through some of the barriers, some of the things that she had to go through in order to get there. That's one of the things I'm looking at. And I hope you notice that she says it was not easy, but it was
Yeah,
simple.
yeah, yeah,
So there goes that word again. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, simple, but not easy. One of the things I feel is a good definition of transformation is taking something that you feel is true and exchanging it for something that's actually true. So
Yeah,
you feel like there's this truth that you're holding on to, it's your belief, and you have to release it and let God give you something that's even more true.
yeah,
So in a spiritual way, that's very, very easy to see, but you can see that being true even in the way that you see your body.
yeah,
Because when you were young and 20 years old, you've had a lot of power to stay up late and to work really hard. And you didn't really think about the cost of what happens when you do that year after year after year after a year. You reach an end of being able to throw yourself at it, and solve a problem by throwing yourself completely at it. There's not as much to give anymore.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
The problems get more complex and you need to ask for help, but you conditioned yourself that I don't need anybody.
Yeah,
Like you said, you have to redefine who you are. You have to, train yourself how to take care of yourself.
exactly.
What is the biggest challenge in creating this course?
Just putting it all, it's like, do I put all of it in one program? Do I break it up into smaller programs? I have a 12-week, and that's only 90 days. And so
Mhm.
that's like an intensive to try to get all of this stuff in 90 days. But when somebody wants that kind of change in their lives, they're willing to do whatever they can do that's simple, not easy, natural, and drug free.
There's a lot of ways to approach it. And this is true of a lot of programs where there's going to need transformation. You've probably seen this, where somebody was going along their way in life. They're, fat, dumb, and happy, as the saying goes, and everything's fine. And then something tragic happens and it revolutionizes the way they see themselves. Maybe somebody that they know got a cancer diagnosis. Maybe they had a heart attack. Maybe somebody was in a bad accident and it just shifted their priorities
Yeah,
enormously. And they were able to make, as a result of something usually bad happening, they're able to make incredible changes in their life that you're like, wow, they're not even the same person anymore. Have you
right.
seen that before?
I have. I have with the death of somebody that they leaned on so heavily, and now you're left having to live your life and be responsible for your life. Because some grown people even rely heavily on a parent or something, and because it's been that way all their life, And when they pass away, and especially like unexpected or something, I've seen some people go over the deep end and
Mhm.
feel like, why did they leave me? And don't want to let that go. Why did they leave me? I'm like, they died. They didn't just move to another town.
Mhm.
Drastic events in a person's life can make them decide, you know what, I need to do better. I
Yeah.
want to do better. I want to be better.
This has been a challenge I've had with transformational programs is like I'm wanting people to make incredible and amazing and beneficial changes to their life that's going to make a big difference. How do I get them to make that change? And for a long time, I've really liked the idea of making small shifts over time. And certainly small shifts are fan freaking tastic. Because if you can like make a small change every week or every month in being a little bit better, I think it's Atomic Habits that says, can you be 1% better? Those are fantastic ideas, but that's not the way our life plays out. It doesn't get better like this on a,
Yeah,
it goes like this, like.
exactly.
So here's the challenge that I've had with transformational courses. How can you open your transformational course with some sort of epiphany so that they can see the need for change without having to go through a tragic event? And that's not something that you have to answer right now.
One thing I did in my book, You Got the Power, 7 Ways to Transform Your Health and Peace. At the end of each chapter, I had like assignment, summary and assignment. And each one of them pretty much, because I believe people can see some type of change in 5 to 7 days. So there's like some kind of challenge in each chapter, at the end of
Mhm.
each chapter. Because if you just try this, even for 5 to 7 days, and notice and pay attention to the changes in your life, in your mind, in your body, you will see that, okay, maybe this is worth pursuing even more.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's something that I thought was necessary just to get people to provoke them to go on these different challenges for at
Yeah.
least 5 to 7 days.
Yeah. And those are really important because they teach you, okay, you used to do it this way. This is a new way of doing it. This is a new way of being. The other thing that I'm talking about is looking at the barriers and the motivations. Like what is causing people to want to do the change and what is preventing them from making that change, the barriers. So whatever you can do to help capitalize on their motivations and diminish the barriers, address and diminish those barriers, the more successful they're going to be at taking those actions. Because it's easy to continue doing the same thing you've always done.
Yeah.
Even if there's a benefit in doing it a new way, you're still fighting an uphill battle because you're getting people to change their very practiced behaviors.
Yeah.
So by capitalizing on their motivations, this is what you're trying to achieve. Imagine to close your eyes and do some visualization activities.
Mhm.
Imagine that it's a Monday and you're getting ready for work and you feel peace about going into work. You feel like everything is falling into place and all the people are doing their parts because you delegated it out and you're not covering for them when they fall through the cracks. So helping them visualize it, that's just one way of capitalizing on the motivation, allowing them to see what's possible. That's an aspirational type of motivation. You can also use a fear-based motivation. I don't like using fear-based that often. It should be used, I think, in very small portions, but that would be kind of like, what's going to happen to you if you continue to do the same thing you've been doing? What is your life going to look like in 10 years? Because you're going to be exactly where you are, but you're going to be more tired and more stuck. And you've trained people for another 10 years to depend on you to do everything. So those are two ways to capitalize on motivation. I prefer the aspirational one because I feel like that has a longer shelf life than fear-based. I think fear-based, it works initially, but it's like when people get saved to escape hell, like
Yeah.
that doesn't build a relationship. But when you think about being close with God, when you think about being close with Jesus, when you think about what that means to have a relationship with your creator, that's more aspirational.
Yeah.
And then the other is the barriers. What are the reasons that people are not taking action? I would guess that fear is a lot to do with that. It's trauma, things that have happened in the past, unforgiveness.
Yeah. It just feel like this is just the way my life is. It's the way it's always been. It's just how it is. but it doesn't have to stay that way.
Exactly.
It does not have to stay that way. And it starts with you.
So the structure of your program could be, imagine that they come in with an event or they come in with a workshop. And in that workshop, the biggest part of that workshop, the outcome for that workshop is a need for change. So they recognize that what they're doing right now isn't working. So that self-awareness, like you said, a lot of people just aren't even aware.
Yeah.
So if that first piece is just like a low ticket workshop or a free workshop where you're talking about a whole other life that is available to you, the way that you're living right now is not the way that God has designed us. It is a way that's happened as a result of sin and Satan and other people. Just you've trained them to this. So if you like make them aware of the need for change in that first part, and you could do 3 different courses, or you could do phases in your course, depending on how you wish to do it, because it's really up to you and you can experiment with it. But you could do phase 1, which is, getting your mindset correct. And then phase 2 is working on your health.
Yeah.
And I do think that you're very, very correct about working on the mindset first.
Yeah.
Because that's going to support all the changes that you need to make with the physical ones.
Exactly. Really. And just people understanding that they don't have to remain the same. You don't have to remain the same. You're not doomed to this just being your life when you're just so unhappy in it, but you don't know what to do about it.
Get off the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Stop
exactly.
it. So does that kind of help with the whole idea of structuring the course?
That's what I, thought about, because I'm like, a part of me is like, okay, all of this, that's why it took so long writing my book. Just trying to say, oh my God, everything has to go. And my book coach said, it doesn't all have to go in one book.
No, it doesn't all have to go in one
course.
So do you have any other questions for me?
I really don't.
Okay.
Some of the other questions that you had listed out that you may go through were good questions for me to come up with answers for. So I'll be holding on to those as well.
I know you said that you liked the other questions that I sent that I didn't ask. I didn't ask what do you see in them that shows they're successful and how did they feel going through. But I think that kind of was covered because your letter actually did a really good job of covering how she felt as she went through and at the end.
Yeah, those are just some of the people that I felt, just kind of conglomerated into those 2 letters. Yeah.
I actually like having 3 avatars, and that is because I like to consider having one avatar that's my ideal. And then I have one avatar that represents the lower end of age, education, and experience, though not necessarily all 3 of those. It could be the lower end of experience, but the upper end of age.
Okay.
And then one for the upper end of age, experience, and education. And having 3 avatars, I like to diversify my audience so they don't all look like me. So
Yeah.
because people have different backgrounds, they have different motivations, they process differently, they have different personalities. And I also like to think about the different barriers and motivations, like what are the things that they're going through that are going to be triggers that make this a really hard thing? How can I prep for those? So I write for my ideal, and then I look at my course from the perspective of the other 2 avatars, and I can make tweaks that actually helps everybody. Most of the time when I've had to make a tweak, when I think about, how would somebody who's got ADHD handle this particular thing? Not that I know all people, but I can think about the perspective of somebody that I know that has ADHD and go, well, that would be super boring. Okay, so what can I do to change that activity so it's not boring? Well, when you don't make it boring because you're thinking about this one person, it actually helps everybody.
Yeah.
So every time I've made a tweak, it's actually improved it for the experience for all the people. So I love using those filters because it gives me ideas about tweaks I can make to make my course even better.
Okay, I like that. I like that as well. Because when I talk about women leaders, again, I'm talking about leading at home. They might be grandma, that's helping to raise the grandchildren, like parents work and different things like that. But they're still a leader, and you got people counting on them. So that's who I'm talking about too. Leaders in different aspects of their life that's not just necessarily on a job or in a business, but Yeah, I feel like I don't really have any questions. I like the ideas that you presented because that helps me to say, okay, this 90-day thing cannot be all of it.
Mhm.
That's what I was, just going to try to put it all in the 90 days in 12 weeks when really it's so much more than that. And that can be overwhelming for people.
Yeah, it sounds like you're struggling even yourself in thinking of that particular concept. So if you're struggling with it, then you know what you ought to do to change. The other
Yeah,
thing you can do is experiment. So before you finalize your materials, test everything. So bring in a couple of people, test it before you finalize your things. I like to test at about 60% finalization. So that way, when I create my materials the very first time and they're very, very raw, I know I'm going to make changes and tweaks. And so I'm open to making those changes and looking for those tweaks. If you make it all pretty and finalized the first time around, you find yourself, and this is with lots of experience, you find yourself more reluctant to make changes because you spent so much time making it look just right.
yeah, I understand that too.
Tell you what, that person who wrote that thank you letter at the end that you wrote, she probably doesn't care that it's pretty.
Right.
She probably cares that she got results.
Yeah, that's something that I have come to realize is the main thing, getting results. That's what I want them to get, results, to see that what I have is something good.
If you're doing it live, you might not want to call it a course. You might want to call it, I've got this concept that God's given me, and I want to run a group coaching short-term program just to see how I can take some of these amazing concepts about how to break through on the way that we think about ourselves. Would you want to be a part of that, this groundbreaking new thing? So when you're saying that way, they're not necessarily thinking, oh, it's going to be a course, you're going to have all perfect materials.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good. Good idea for me too.
I want to encourage you not to give up. I want to encourage you that God's given you all of your experiences and all the things that have happened. God's taking everything that's been used against you and along with the talents that He's given you to create a package that can make a difference in other people's lives. And that you're valuable, not because you're able to make the difference in people's lives. You're valuable because you're creating God's image. And because you're in His image and because you are His child, you are going to make a difference. You can't help but make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Amen.
I needed to hear that today from somebody today. So
I
I
thank you.
figure I'm not alone in needing encouragement.
Yeah.
Things are hard right now. And so I think we do need encouragement.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just so much going on. And I know if it's not going on necessarily where you live or in your family, there's so much other things that are going on in the world that touch us and
Mhm.
cause us. Sometimes we're stressing and don't realize how much we're stressing, and you're starting to have those physical manifestations of that stress in your body and your mind,
Yeah.
and don't realize where it's coming from. And
Yeah.
from all this worldwide stuff that's going on and nationwide things that are going on.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Thank you so much for this time and for your genius,
Thank you.
your genius into what I'm doing. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope you loved that interview with Hillary as much as I did. I learned so much about her holistic program, both looking at the health and the mindset of her students. What a beautiful program that is, right? To learn more about Hillary and connect with her program, check her links below. And then if you want to know more about me, then be sure to subscribe and like and check my links also. Have a beautiful day.